For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses, presented by Saratoga Water. Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling. Beautiful day at Belmont. How are you?
Beautiful day at Belmont Park. Yeah, I'm good. Ready to roll for a couple of, 3 fun cards.
You finish all your
Everything's up.
preview stuff for the stakes?
Finished everything.
How many stakes at
Saturday
Pimlico
and
did you
Sunday
cover?
picks are up for Talking Horses.
I saw that. I was amazed.
We have 10 stakes. The Soaring Softly tomorrow, and then the Preakness and the 8 undercard Thoroughbred stakes. We're not covering the
Not
the
today's
Arabian.
stakes. You didn't.
Tomorrow. Everything tomorrow.
tomorrow's.
Tonight, 6 o'clock,
right.
6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, Sirius 219, XM 201. You can stream it live at horseracingradio.net.
All right. My Preakness video is up. I just tweeted the link to that, by the way, if people are interested.
Who'd you pick? They got to watch.
They got to watch the video. You know, I
All
can't.
right.
I can't release that.
Fair enough.
I need the hits. Everything else all right?
Everything's great.
Looking forward to the weekend. Big, nice races.
I am.
I found the races to be very tricky this weekend. We'll see how things play out. See how it plays out today. Thought there were some interesting races and tough races on today's card. The best way to play them through Naira Bets. Head on over to NairaBets.com if you're not a member. Use the promo code MATCH200. Get your pre-con. Apparently it's all about the Preakness. We'll match up $200 your initial deposit. Also, today's show, we're in 2 segments today, which you can't really see. There we go, 12:30 to 3 on FS1 and FS2 for the last half hour, 5 to 5:30. Also, I think that's it, right? Today's first race. I may have copped out in today's first race. I'm going to fully admit that I may well have copped out in today's first race.
They limited you. There were 2 entries, so you almost had to pick one.
Well, you actually went in a different direction. You might be the smart one up here because, you know, it's an odds. It's rare.
How'd that taste coming out of your
rare
mouth?
you see. You know, you're a very smart man. I don't deny. Your handicapping sometimes isn't smart. It's your intelligence.
You had a great day. Congratulations yesterday, by the way. Good job yesterday. You don't toot your own horn, but that was some day yesterday. That double paid almost $200 for $2.
It's funny. Years ago.
But you gave out a terrible horse in the first race at Churchill.
I know.
Horse stunk.
Yeah, it was bad. Well, I'm good in New York, but terrible at other places, apparently. Years ago, I remember talking to Andy Beyer in Florida about this when we were playing full time. And I had noticed that Andy had a number of opinions at big prices that ran badly, as they frequently do. And the next time they ran, they came back and ran well. And Andy is very sometimes dogmatic, and he's like, I was wrong. They throw him out. You know? And I said, you know, when you make a big bet on a horse and it runs poorly and it comes back at a big price, make sure you give the horse another look. And maybe you're just supposed to bet $100 on those horses every time, just whether it's insanity insurance.
Yep.
Because the reality is sometimes we're not wrong about them for whatever reason. You want to give them one more chance sometimes. Now, listen, sometimes you give them one more chance and you're burning more money. And at a certain point, you need to give up. You don't need to chase horses. But I think if you make one big bet, you have the right, especially when they drop down and track conditions were different.
And
Regardless.
especially when they're, you know, she wasn't 40 to 1 like she was last time, but she was 21 to 1 yesterday. You got to come back and have a bet a little
you have
something.
to bet something, right? So whether insanity insurance or not. I mean, I thought the case was logical, and maybe she liked wet track, and she was dropping. She got a great ride from Lee Cardenas.
Great ride.
We'll start out. We'll go down to Tampa because, interestingly enough, 2 halves of the entry ran at Tampa last time with Gambling Cat getting the money, and Entwine not having any real excuse. Though I would say the lack of pace hurt Entwine, and it didn't hurt Gambling Cat. And I think that helped. Christophe Clement's numbers are sometimes better with his second-time starters. He's being realistic with this horse. He was not in for the tag last time, but I think he senses what her overall value is. It's not like she came here with some kind of European form that made her look like she was going to be some sort of killer out there. And maybe I've copped out. I think Luella, the other half of the entry, is also dangerous. I don't know why Zayas dragged her as far out of the race. I know it was a faster pace last time, but this race down there kind of weird. Wasn't a little bit of traffic in the stretch the time before. I'm not sure how much horse she really had. I went to these two in the entry. I'm not confident of either one. I took the entries. You were being a little more creative.
Yeah, being a little more creative with a horse that, just based on figs, has run a race as fast, if not faster, than most of the horses in here. The number 4.
They're all very similar, frankly.
They are.
I mean, that's why if you take a horse at a price, you can't knock it because there's really not a lot of difference, right?
And taking a page out of your book, the entries are, can obviously win, but will likely both be overbet because it certainly appears, and maybe Traffic Lane is the exception, but the 4 constituents as part of the 2 entries can all win. So, getting the 2 for the price of 1 in a race where they do all kind of look the same.
Traffic Lane also has one turf race that's good enough to win here. I don't know what happened last time. What I worry a little bit, though, with your horse is that she's forward and Traffic Lane is going to be forward, and I worry that may compromise her. I think she's a very reasonable play at a price.
It absolutely could. I'm hoping that Louis Cardenas, this is not something I like to ordinarily do, but plays the break, sees how aggressive Kendrick and Traffic Lane are, and she may be asked to do something today,
she's never done, right?
That she's never done.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
No, I'm not going to argue with her. I don't think she's impossible in this race. I don't think Systematic is impossible. Honestly, you look through this race, I don't see why anybody in here should be a particularly big price except probably Sudden Impulse, who's trying the turf for the first time with no real pedigree and obviously would have to improve. But I don't think there's a single player in this race that can't win. I don't even think Traffic Lane is impossible.
I don't either.
It is weird with Traffic Lane. She was scratched out of an off-the-turf race where it felt like she would have been first or second choice in there to run the turf. So it's just kind of weird. I don't know. I'm not sure what that means, to be honest with you, but we'll see what happens. Race number 2 changed significantly, and I probably would have maybe changed my numbers a little bit. I would have at least moved the 2 up to second. I'm not going to change it and put a horseshoe on top, but Joycey Has Pizzazz, we'll look at here, finishing second, and Beachfront finishing third, moves up with a scratch, because with the scratch, there's just significantly less speed in this race, and I don't think she's a lot faster necessarily than some others, but he feels like the speed, and he's going out for the Nota barn, and until the Notas go back into a funk, their horses continue to be dangerous.
Yeah.
They're all running.
On paper, there looks like there's a few horses that kind of have similar early speed, but when you take into account intent, rider, the Nota barn,
well, he's
and
never
the,
been
that
fast a horse.
He hasn't, but from the rail with all of those other things that we just listed, in all likelihood, this horse is going to be forward, and I would imagine on the lead now with the big S scratched.
No, I don't have any argument with that. I don't think that he's particularly quick, but doesn't mean that he can't win this race. I don't listen. I think he's the horse to beat. I don't think there's any real argument against it.
It kind of helps the big S coming out helps him twofold, because it compromises horses like Beachfront. It compromises horses like Tri-State Lorenzo. Probably the most it compromises Tri-State Lorenzo. We'll see just how fast they go. Who is the one applying the pressure? Because I'm pretty confident Joycey Has Pizzazz is going to get to the top in here now.
Well, I think he is speed, and not significantly, but I agree. We'll see. A Social Group in a Changing Barn's going to try to be a little more aggressive in here. We'll see how it plays out. As far as Tri-St. Lorenzo, I like both things about him. Obviously, I like he's getting back to a fast track, because it does seem like he's a horse that really has trouble handling those sloppy sealed tracks. I also think he's a better sprinter. I know he had a success going long, but I always thought his better races were sprinting, and I know he was able to win going longer. I'm not sure that he didn't just improve. And I thought cutting back in distance really might be in his favor, which was one of the reasons the drop down, getting a fast track, and cutting back in distance. I thought they would all help him. I wish the one was in this race, the Big S, because I didn't like him, and he was the speed. Without him in here, it does hurt Tri-St. Lorenzo, but I'm going to hope for the best.
Okay.
See, I'm going to pick him, and you're not today.
Amazing.
You've really turned on Tri-State Lorenzo.
I don't like him. I don't like the cut back. The blinkers are coming off. It kind of feels like there's, they're grasping it, and the drop. I don't know.
What do you do with Social Group, who actually really improved last time and ran the best race he's ever run for Mercktan Cantermasi? Don't you think he's dangerous in this spot?
Yeah, he's another one. He's cutting back in distance. This is a horse that's never sprinted. He has a lot of one-turn races, but he's never sprinted.
What's to say he's not going to be effective doing it?
I don't know if he's going to be effective or not.
That was the best race he's ever run by far last time out.
Yeah.
And they were better horses than these. Road to Meath, he's kind of
doesn't it bother you a little bit that he is dropping off of as good an effort as he put forth last time. It bothers me.
Okay. No, it doesn't, but okay.
Okay.
That's fair. I mean, they claimed him for 16,000.
I know.
I think they're looking for the spot that comes up.
And I don't disagree with that in theory, but he did run well enough to give him, I think, one more shot at that level. Instead, they drop him.
So race number 3 is another race that changed significantly by the scratch, a horse that both you and I were interested in, race number 3. When Jack came out, and I assumed you had picked him because you thought he was the speed in the race, and
absolutely
he comes out. I was worried. I always worry that Wesley was going to scratch, and now there isn't really much pace in here. And we'll take a look at Kanthaka when he was good, and this was in the Jaipur last year. I know he's second off a layoff, and he came back in a tough spot. He was pitifully bad last time in his race. He was awful in that race.
He was awful.
He did just no. He had a good trip, got a good ride, and he had nothing.
Here comes one of my favorite horses in training to come and get him right on the money.
I was really thrilled with this. As much as I like Alexander, I bet Kanthaka, who is ridiculous at 16-1.
Yes, he was.
Having said that, he's the speed in here if Jose Lezcano wants to go.
No question about it.
And I think this is an opportunity for Graham Motion to be aggressive with him, and I do think it makes him the horse to beat the scratch.
Yeah, and I do, and we've seen Jose put clever rides on horses in races like this. I don't disagree with you. He'll put them in. I thought about switching it up.
Yeah, I did too. But I'm not going to change a big price for a small price. That's why I did it.
Right.
I think your horse Chewing Gum, and we'll show him finishing second in the Belmont Sprint, the Belmont Turf Sprint Invitational. It's a mouthful.
He's another one though. He's
badly paced.
Because here the riderless horse was the speed. He stumbles, drops the rider, wet your whistle, gets loose on the lead, and it's kind of nobody moves, nobody gets hurt. He's going to be affected by the lack of pace in here. What could help his cause today is this race figures to develop far more slowly than these turf sprints usually do. I would imagine it pulls him into the race more, and he gets another furlong. He gets 7/8 in here today, which will probably help his cause in a slower paced race.
He can win. I don't particularly like him in this spot. I think Joel Rosario is somebody who rode this horse with incredible efficiency in his races, and it's going to be tough to duplicate. But like you said, the horse that I don't like is the morning line favorite, and I think he's a ridiculous morning line favorite. It's Maxwell and Esquire, and
I got nothing but love for him, but I agree with you today.
But I'll say two things about it. And listen, he's shown a horse that he can close, even if there isn't particularly pace. There was no real pace in this race, though it is important to note this was a yielding turf course, and this is a horse that has shown an affinity for giving the ground in the past. So I think actually he was helped by the racetrack in here. Having said that, he has never, ever, ever faced horses in anywhere near the stratosphere. He beat Clarkey last time.
Not even close.
It's
correct.
Like he's moving from claiming races to stakes races here.
He's right.
Maybe he's the horse in the upswing and they're in the downswing, but man,
he's running against stakes quality horses. I mean, Chewing Gum and Kanthaka are stakes quality horses. There's no denying that. And unlike Kanthaka, who you feel at the very least can be a little useful towards the front end, this horse has zero speed.
No, you don't want to take this horse out of his game and what works. The one thing I would say in his favor is he could be the horse with more upside, and the other horses have seen their best days.
Fair enough.
Every single one of these horses, Kanthaka maybe, past his expiration date. We don't really know with Chewing Gum. Penalty, my horse, I'll get to in a second. He could be the horse moving forward, but I don't think he's. I'll be interested to see if he's really favored in this race. I'm skeptical. I respect David. He's probably right, but I'm skeptical.
With the scratch, I find it hard to think he's going to be favored.
But aren't they all compromised in a certain way by it?
But I do believe he is the most compromised.
I'm taking Penalty in here simply because he's going to be the best price in a race where I have sort of marginal interest in a lot of them, and I think there are questions. He didn't get the best of trips last time. He was taken so far out. He just dropped so far out of it, and he had to make so much of a move just to get into it, lagging. And, yeah, he followed Delaware, and he wasn't good as that one. Well, Delaware would win this race. And he does have, I mean, you look at that front run of the Fed race, I know it's fifth by 2 lengths, it's turf racing, but he finished just behind Chewing Gum in there. What was he beaten? A head and a nose or 2 noses by Chewing Gum? He's going to be a better price. He's got some good races. I think 7 furlongs around 1 turn suits him very well. And at a price, I'm happy to put him on top because I don't trust the others. I don't know what to do with Rios.
7 furlong race was the fastest race he's run.
Yeah, it's his best figure. But he may have been dragged into a little bit. But I always felt like horses like with his running style would be best, cutting back to these one-turn races. And he's run against good horses, and I don't think he got the right trip last time. What do you do with Riux? I mean, I didn't think he was that good running over there, to be honest with you, looking at who he ran against.
Yeah, now he comes on, and I think the knee-jerk reaction is you see the Euro coming over, especially in the sprints, and you look at a race like this and say, well, there's no pace in here. What does that do for him? The other way to look at that is, without the pace in the race, isn't this more accustomed to what he's used to?
Well, we also don't know that he can't be forward. So
we don't know.
I mean, I don't. There are Euros that come over that can be forward. His last race, he went the lead on synthetic. So I don't know. I mean, the paces probably were fairly moderate, but we don't know that this horse can't be forward.
No, we don't.
He's an unknown in here, and
he gets Lasix. Clemence Barnes off to a fast start here at Belmont.
Absolutely, and you look at it, and it's another reason I would say that Maxwell Esquire is a bad bet, because this is a race where all 5 of them can win, and I don't need a short price on a horse that's moving up in company.
Find a much better price right in the same barn.
Yeah. No, we don't really. He's an unknown factor. Race number 4. We'll take a look at Royal Realm. We'll look at the last 3 ace. Trevor really had his work cut out with this horse. And he did finally get him to settle in the back. He was a bit rank early. And I thought he ran well. I don't know what to. This is a weird race he comes out of. Horses ran, horses didn't run. I mean, Cousin Andrew got a ridiculous trip, exacerbated by his bad break. The horse who won is coming back on Sunday's card in a race that's probably easier than this one. And you look at Royal Realm, he wasn't even running there. I mean, look at Trevor. He got quite a workout. And then at the end, he makes this big run. Did you like him in here?
I did.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to win. That's right. I remember thinking Anthony's horse going to get up, and then it's tough to make that momentum on the inside.
It's tough to make the momentum on the inside. And Trevor did the right. Trevor gave him a great ride, just trying to find places to put him. With that rally, it's hard to make up all that ground when you're going from the 4-path to the 2-path to the inside and just trying to find places to let the horse roll. It was just a weird race because, Cousin Andrew was choked down and bent in half.
He got left, too. And he
rushed and was bent in half for 3/8 of a mile. I kind of feel like last time at 11:01, and now today he's going to be even money.
Well, I don't know if he'll be even money, but he's going to be shorter price. Yeah, I doubt he's even money in here. But
okay.
I think the price with he and the 3, Mr. Briggs, will be much, much closer. I know Mr. Briggs comes out of a slower race. I don't love the race he comes out of. It just seems to me that these are the kind of horses that Todd Pletcher wins with. They just seem to take a step forward in their second start. He's going to be forward in this race, and I just think he's the logical alternative. I don't have any problem with Royal Realm except the fact that he was a big price last time, and he's a fraction of that today. What is your love affair with Exalted Charm?
I like Exalted Charm. This horse got to run on a fast track one time. It was in the Prevalence Maiden race down in Florida. Now, at the time, that looked like a gem of a race.
Got a 42 buyer.
No, I understand that, but he came back and, the 2 wet tracks. And last time he caught the flyer in the fog with the blinkers on and just, kind of took off on Nick Juarez. And now he gets second start with the blinkers. He gets back to a fast track. He gets Eric Cancel. There's some other speed in the race. And I would imagine he lets Mr. Briggs go. And he tries to have a target today, which has, I know, been the intent since this horse faced the starter. I'm hoping today he gets the right kind of setup with the right draw and a better pace scenario. And I'm hoping at a little bit of a price he can put a little upset on this field.
Okay. I don't believe he's exhibited any ability whatsoever in his races, and his second race to me is disgraceful. And the problem I have, and listen, I know you have a big thing about wet tracks that I don't agree with at all. It was a muddy seal track, and a track that probably should have been listed as good, and that was a race that featured an absolutely wicked pace that completely fell apart. And this horse did absolutely no running whatsoever. He didn't pick up anything. And then he ran off on a sloppy seal track. And I know you told me they liked him that day, and he ran off. I'm just beginning to think this horse just belongs in maiden claiming
races. In the
races.
muddy track race, he was jumping around and looking around. And then that's when the blinkers and the shadow roll went on. And the blinkers and that track on the fog day, the first 3 or 4 races, the early fractions in those races were wicked fast, and I'm hoping now with the blinkers on a normal racetrack on dry ground with a target and a guy who's
His dry track race is his worst race yet.
Yeah, but his dry track race was his first race in a field
of
horses that turned out to, you know what I mean? I mean, Stage Raiders 1 to 20 later on.
Well, Stage Raider improved on a wet track in his next start, and he's in a field today of 35 claimers. So let's be realistic. And Prevalence certainly has turned out to be a complete phony. I mean, he's still in the 8th pole in the race at Churchill.
I think that, you know, that there's some circumstance there as well.
Okay,
where
we disagree. I haven't seen it, but you're focusing on the wet tracks. We'll see what happens. I get that he's the other horse in this race. I just haven't seen anything from this horse. But listen, Kelly Greenhorn Barn does a good job. Perhaps he'll turn around. Race number 5. Race number 5 is a problematic race. And maybe you and I should have taken a shot against Kid Bourbon. We'll take a look at his turf race. He's second to Golden Tappet. Obviously, if he runs his race, Golden Tappet never ran for this race. So Brendan Walsh horse has looked really good, and sorry something happened to him. If he runs this race, he'll win this race by a city block. Now, his next turf race, he didn't do any running, but he was running against good governance and some better horses.
And then we didn't see him for 8 months.
It's also not like his dirt form has really been that bad. He's still running decent dirt races. And I tell you what, he's found himself in quite a field. He feels like he's going to be 1 to 2 in here.
These are horses you and I don't ordinarily pick.
I don't pick them very. I always change my pick.
Where are you going to go? Where else do you want to go in here?
No. See, I look at it differently than that. My response is it doesn't matter where you go. You handicap the race without him in it. And then you decide how you want to pick the race without him in it. And then you ask yourself, do I want to take a shot with any of these horses over Kid Bourbon, who I don't trust at all? He's got Claim Me written all over him. He probably is getting claimed in here. I just think he's probably getting claimed and he's going to win.
He's probably going to get claimed.
I'm not claiming him, just in case you were wondering if I was trying to sucker you in there. We haven't bet a lunch this week. We have to find a lunch bet.
You could have got me good yesterday. You lost. If I were you, I would stay away from the lunch bets this week. You could have got me
down to
good
75.
With
You won the other
yesterday.
day. What could I have got you on?
You could have got me with Karamoka yesterday.
I'm not going to bet lunches on that.
Those are the ones you're supposed to get. You could have got 3 to 1 on anybody in that field. You could have taken me to the cleaners yesterday.
I got the money with Karamoka. I'm not looking at it to crush my friends here. I see the lunch bets as far more friendly.
Of course. I listen. I hear what you're saying about taking the horse out of the race and handicapping the race.
Just saying I'm not saying that means you pick against the horse, but I think with a horse like this,
and that's a great exercise.
Say you just look at the race and say, how would I bet it? See, I think Frontman is the other horse in this race over Hard Count. They're the 2 other horses. I wish I could make a case for somebody else in here. I simply can't.
No.
You don't have the 5 in there at all?
I didn't like this horse.
Why?
It was dropping down from the last this horse was dropping down throughout the winter.
Okay, but the horse is a better turf horse.
I guess.
Well, the horse has run better in the turf, though, its whole career. Isn't Kenner Moss, didn't he claim this horse saying, I want to take this horse and run on the turf?
Back to the turf. I'm sure he did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's a killer on the turf, but he seems pretty good to me. He's going to be forward. He looks like a better turf horse than Hard Count.
Okay.
I feel like with Hard Count, and obviously he has a chance in here, I don't want the California turf horses. You know, Robbie Falcone might have been smart bringing him out there, and he still didn't get the money.
I probably should have put Devilish Mood second. And Devilish Mood is not fast enough to compete here, but I think Devilish Mood has a chance to improve.
How do you pay 4 to 1 while I was out of town?
I don't know. But I do believe he has a chance to improve.
I know someone who picked him at 2 to 1 in the dirt in his second start. I don't want to tell anybody who it was, but somebody I'm very fond of, and I was very embarrassed for him.
We're going to take a break.
We're not finished. I'm sorry, Devilish Mood. Didn't he just beat up on bad horses?
That's what I said. Neither of his races that he's run on turf so far, but his maiden race was pretty good. And then that race last time was off 10 weeks and was getting back to the turf. I don't know. He was able to beat those horses pretty easily.
King
Moon Racer came back and ran second yesterday in the special weight race. I don't know. Maybe at a price, getting the gimmicks.
He cut back in distance, King Moon Racer. He may have appreciated less distance. Right, the last race yesterday.
Yeah. I'm just
okay. I looked at him.
This horse won pretty easily last time out, and he's obviously a turf horse. And
yeah, I mean, Kid Bourbon is a funny horse because, you know, he's the last leg of the early pick 5 and pick 4, the first leg of the pick 5.
In the pick 6.
He's a horse that there's going to be a lot of money in multi-race bets that are focused on him.
And there's
Mark Hennig, the pressure is on you.
Yeah, because when we get back, we'll talk about.
What do we talk about?
We have a horse that's going to be 1 to 10 today, 1 to 9, 1 to 20.
Yeah, I would rather single Stage Raider
Oh, no question about it. Yeah, of course.
I know.
Of course.
It's a statement of the obvious.
So, maybe you want to mess around and try and find a price or two in here.
We're going to take a break.
Now
we're very excited about the late pick 4, and we will be right back.
Make business meetings exquisite. Make a weekend outing exquisite. Make a late night snack exquisite. Make a night on the town exquisite. For nearly 150 years, the Saratoga Spring Water Company has been producing the finest spring water available anywhere. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
By the way, Frontman was not claimed by Cantor Masi. He was transferred. There was a transfer. That wasn't the claim. I don't know what the circumstances were. Race number 6. Race number 6, to me, there are 3 horses that can win. And I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm going to use the 1, 8, and 9. I'm going to use the 1 Allure because it's the Nota barn, and I think to leave their horses out is a mistake at this point. They're all running. And we'll see how long that lasts. And then you've got the Ectobar and Hammer and Hammer. And obviously Hammer and Hammer is the horse to beat of his race. And Eric did get himself into a little bit of a jackpot with this horse last time. To be fair, I think he got more unlucky than a bad ride. He got caught behind horses and never had a place to go. At Belmont, you usually find a seam. In this case, he couldn't.
Yeah. I could not agree with the entire statement anymore. In fact, everything.
They're not always bad rides. Sometimes they're just unlucky.
Yeah, this is unlucky. There's sometimes.
I don't think he would have won, right? He would have been second.
I don't know.
I don't think he would have beaten the winner.
I don't know. He definitely would have been second.
Yes.
It happened at a time in a race where he really just started picking up his momentum. So I think there's a chance he could have won because if he gets outside of Heavy Roller, maybe he can see the daylight and outkick him. It doesn't matter now.
No.
Yeah, I mean this is a kind of race where, like you, I kind of feel like 189 move the chains, hope for the best price, right? Which will, in all likelihood, be a Lord. But I do feel like there is a little bit of a break between Ectobar and Hammer and Ectobar, and then back to a Lord, right? And again,
yes, I agree. I'm not an Allure fan. I'm only using him because of the notice.
Right,
I agree.
And that's exactly right. How you would take a horse out of a race and handicap it. If this horse was trained by trainer X, I wouldn't be using this horse today. But it's
and when he ran last time, the barn was asleep, as it had been for basically the previous 6 months.
Knocked the rust off after knocked the rust off after a 5+ month break. Barn's going good now. Horse is going to be 3rd or 4th choice, right? You got to use the horse, especially when you can't really trust Ectobar or Hammer and Hammer.
Well, I'll say something about Ectobar. He finally seems to have found his speed again.
Yeah.
And with Kendrick Carmouche picking up the mount, I got to think he's going to be aggressive in here, and that's why I picked him on top. I think he's getting his speed back, and I thought he'd be the speed in this race. So I want Kendrick to go to the front with him, and I'll take my chance to get wire the field. I don't know that he's that good anymore, but I like the fact that he's getting back to having the speed he once had when he was a better horse.
Here's what his problem is. What's
his problem?
In my mind, if a Lord is going to run well, he's going to be forward and chasing him.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
Oh, okay.
Allure's not a speed horse. Why? Because he showed some speed once in a sloppy track at 90 cents to go.
He's never been too far from. There were times where he wasn't too far from paces, and he's drawn on the inside with an aggressive
rider. We'll have to agree to disagree, but I suppose he could get a crazy aggressive ride, in which case the 9 will win and Allure will get nothing.
Right.
So that'll be fine. Race number 7. Race number 7. One thing I was certain of today, I would have bet everything I owned that Anthony would pick Austin Debate. I guess if you could pick her in the correction, I did. I let him off the lunch bets in that race. I want you to know. You could take her off this race, 2 back. My problem with her is, where has she been? Well, it's only 2 months, I guess. But her races are so phony. She got the ridiculous slow pace 2 races back, and she rode a gold rail in this race. She's the horse to beat in here, but she is not as good as she looks on paper.
You might be right, and we don't know what happened to her as far as where she's been. Right, I don't know what I mean is after that.
Yeah.
Where has she been?
What do you make of the drop?
Where else is he going to run her? I don't know where else she goes.
Well, where's she going to a non-winner's a 2?
She could.
I mean, I don't think she'd win them either, and I think it's a reasonable drop. I'm just asking your opinion. I don't disagree with you.
I don't know what, if Charlie doesn't lose her today, is her destiny back to Finger Lakes for maybe some of those overnight stakes races, those 50,000? I don't know.
Are you concerned the 7's going to put pressure on her?
Yeah, of course. Okay. Of course. And Rosa Veloce coming out from the inside.
No, you knew Ray wasn't running both of them, and he ran the one that got the outside post.
Correct.
You knew what was happening
Correct.
there.
So
I handicapped the races over Rosa Veloce wasn't even in there.
Right.
Irish Constitution won a 4-horse field against mediocre competition on a gold rail. I don't like her at all. I don't think she classes up at all, but I think she's going to be somewhat forward in this race. So you're just going to keep leaving My Roxy Girl out because Stubborn is your middle name.
Andy, I mean, she's just not. I
don't agree with you.
Okay.
I don't agree with you. I think she's every bit as good as just about everybody near and better than most. I'm going to give her a pass in the sloppy sealed track last time. The time before that, she ran extremely well. She ran the best race of anybody in there, given the pace scenario. And the time before that, she was compromised by Awesome Debate being able to control in the front end. I think she's got plenty of races that are fast enough to win. I know you're going to insist on that. She's got issues and all these things. She seems to have run through them fine on March 21st. It's not like Charlie Baker has made any attempt to drop this horse down in class. And if she really had issues, he would have done that. And I think she has plenty of races good enough. I don't love her in here, but I think that her price is better than her chances to win. For instance, she's 5-1 and the bottom is 7-2. How many lunches are we betting on them heads up? I'll bet you 2.
Sure.
Okay. 4 over 7. 2 lunches. Yeah, I don't get the 7 at all. Only thing you say is she has some upside. What about Fierce Lady?
Fierce Lady's kind of the wild card in here, right? I think the biggest problem with Fierce Lady is
good stats.
I think she's going to take more money than she should.
Well, I don't know if she's going to take more than she should.
She just doesn't win, Andy.
I agree. I'm not sitting here to
I
want to say something about this stat while we have it up.
Okay.
I think it's fair that she probably wasn't getting trainer changes from Rudy Rodriguez in this sample. So she's getting it from somebody that wins. And at the end of the day,
a lot of these trainer changes are probably happening in the Mid-Atlantic and not up here.
That was my point.
Right, okay.
That was exactly what I said. Anyhow, she ran an 87 buyer in her debut. They turned down a crazy amount of money for her, and she just never went back to it.
No.
She's consistently run figs in the mid-70s, which don't make her impossible in this race. And as you say, she's 5-2 morning line, and I agree with you.
She always gets bet. She's never been 6-1 in her career. She always gets bet.
I get it. She looked good in a lot of those races.
She did.
I'm just with you. I'm a little tired of her as well.
And what's she going to do from there? She's not getting to the lead from the inside, right? So she's going to have to work out a trip from off the pace.
I don't worry about that, but
has it ever really worked?
Yes.
When?
One of her 2 wins. Well, you asked me if it's ever worked, and I said yes.
She was even money as a 2-year-old.
You asked me if it ever worked, and I said yes. So you've got your answer. You were wrong. I mean, I'm not saying she's going to win here, but she has 2 wins, and one of them was rating.
We both have a third.
It's okay to be wrong.
We both have a third.
Yeah, I mean, I think she can win. And I agree. I'm not thrilled with her at 5-2, but the problem I have, Anthony, is I'm not thrilled with Awesome Debate. I think you're betting a horse that's really dressed up and could be a short price, and that's why I've taken My Roxy Girl, to be honest with you. Okay. I'm not thrilled with the other ones, and I think My Roxy Girl makes a certain amount of sense.
In hindsight, I probably should have picked Irish Constitution because of what you said a little bit earlier. She has. I don't think you disagree.
Okay, I'll bet you 3 lunches. Okay, you want it to be 3 lunches?
I don't.
Do you want 3 lunches on that?
No, listen.
Okay.
I don't disagree with the fact that she has the most upside, and
she needs upside
to piggyback that. I'm not so sure we haven't seen the best out of the other fillies. Now, their best so far is better than hers.
No, I think you're right. We've seen the best out of the
others. We've seen the best out of the rest.
We're not getting improvement. I would agree with that.
So
race number 8. Chad Brown really should be criticized for throwing Stage Raider into the fire after that big maiden win. I don't know what happened to both halves of the entry, but they looked like the only 2 competition. I mean, in a lot of ways, you want to bet against a horse that freaked out on a sloppy track. And he really freaked out. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's a running fool. He is a half, too.
He's a half to justify. It's funny. What's fun about his pedigree, he is sired by the horse who sired the Triple Crown winner 2 back, and he's out of the mare who had the last Triple Crown winner.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to Chad Brown about him before he ran. because we were on the phone, and I said, oh, you have a half to justify. And he said, one of the things I like about him going forward, and he said, I'm hoping he runs well, obviously. He said, is that he's a Pioneer of the Nile, but he's not one of those big lumbering. He doesn't look like the Pioneer of the Nile. So,
very athletic.
Yeah, and a lot of the Pioneer of the Nile's a little, I guess, are not as much. So he's found the right race here. I think the interesting thing with him is, and obviously no race is a fait accompli, but how well does he run today? Is he as good as that sloppy track race suggests, in which case he's actually a legitimate 3-year-old going forward? I mean, he's running figures that are comparable to the races everybody in the Preakness runs, or is he a horse that just improved on a sloppy track? And that's the question with him.
Right, and the problem is, and look, I don't think anybody thinks Good Culture and Dr. Jack or Riva Ridge and Secretariat, but at the very least,
they are compared to some of the other horses left in this race.
that was the point I was getting to. What are we going to find out about him today? We're not going to find much out about him today. He looks like the free bingo square. Who's next on the replay, Santava?
I'm going to have Civil War second. I'm playing a cold 2-4. Somebody said to me on Twitter, you have Civil War second that race? Who am I supposed to have second in here? I mean, I'm not saying I love him for second, but certainly not Centavo. Sano Grotto. I mean, what's wrong with him?
Nothing.
Right? I don't know. He wanted a mile. He ran Beyer figures around 70s.
Certainly the horse that's. I
think it's the shortest exact at 2-4. Don't you think?
Accomplishes the wrong word, but he's certainly the horse that's run against some horses that can run a little bit.
I mean, isn't 2-4 the shortest exact in all likelihood?
For
close.
Sure. I think in order it'll be 2-4, 2-6, 2-3.
No, really, I thought the 3 would be closer. I don't like that race the 3's coming out of, but maybe he did improve. We'll see.
I thought he improved. His
I'm a little annoyed with you, by the way.
With me?
Yeah, you stole my horse in the last race. I love teasing
Didn't I steal everybody's horse in the last race? I mean,
yeah.
A lot of people
he was my horse last time, so I'm supposed to pick against him today.
I was kind of surprised you came back with him today, because you ordinarily will jump ship.
We will watch his last race, and in its entirety, aren't you excited? We're on to the 9th. Francisco's very excited about the 8th. He cannot wait for Stage Raider. He called me last night, like at 11:30.
He's got a Travers Future bet
I can barely sleep. I'm going to tell you a funny Travers. Okay, by the way, Ghost Mom ran fine in here.
Yeah.
I feel as though Manny kind of gave up on this horse early and should have pushed forward. And all the problems were created by not pushing forward from that point. And this was not one of the better trips that you'll get.
Starts right here, right? A little steady there.
Yeah, it really gets bad on the backstretch.
Yes, it does.
Ghost Mom ran well in here, too. I don't want to say that Ghost Mom didn't run well, and I think she's dangerous in here. The thing about Jade's Dream is she has back turf races to back it up. I thought she ran very well. And at this point, Manny's going up on the inside, and she's going to get herself completely shuffled. Completely shuffled out of the race.
This is an old, for you old harness fans out there, used to sit home on the New York City OTB channel, play the Meadowlands on Friday night. She's going to get the old Meadowlands shuffle right around now. It's going to start happening where she's going to back up.
Tough spot to be in the break of the turn.
Tough spot to be in with 4 outside of you going into that far turn, and she gets shuffled here, and now she'll lose a length and a half. I mean, she's losing enough ground.
Position and up and back, and she should have been forward. That's the thing.
Right.
So, or he is. Why do we keep calling her she?
Jade.
Jade, is that the problem? And then he comes, he's a little uncomfortable running inside of horses at this point.
And that's something we haven't addressed.
That's gone on.
We haven't addressed that for the first 7 furlongs of the race, where he didn't really look comfortable. And even here, there's a lot more room than he had at any point. He still doesn't want to really go in there. And
where he really runs well?
Right now.
In the gallop out.
And look, and once he gets to some daylight, here he comes. Yeah. Nobody around him. He's off the rail. Yeah, you'd have to think that from the draw and with Kendrick aboard, and quite frankly,
he's supposed to be in front.
There's not a lot of speed in this race,
especially with the light coming out.
He's supposed to be in front.
I agree, and I think you'll see him be more forward. Now, having said that, there are other horses in here.
Sure.
Voliero is a private purchase by Mike Dubb to Mike Maker for this race, so I think that makes him dangerous in here. He has back races, though he was atrocious last time. The 10, 8 weeks long, has been the victim of a hilariously bad ride back in November, and probably never given a fair chance in his last race either, even though he saved ground. But he did have some trouble in there. Ghost Mom is okay. I don't want to say that Ghost Mom can't win off that last race. I mean, look how much he improved in the turf, right?
I could have put Valero or Trusatum.
No sevens
in there. Well, yeah, and it was just Valero was just so bad in a race
in
a race that they bet like it was a 2-horse race with Michael's bed with the winner and this horse, right?
You have to take the no pedigree Clement horse on the rail because. Well, afraid Miguel's going to be mad at you or something if you don't.
One of them already won. This horse is a half to John's Island and too early, so at least
they're dirt.
I know that, but at least
But it's all dirt. Why not run on the turf?
I don't know. Listen, they're running the horse on the turf first time.
Oh, by the way, Valero was claimed last time. David Aragona just told me it was an error in the PPs.
Oh, interesting.
Not a private purchase.
Interesting.
Thank you, David.
Whatever it is, I mean, after that last race.
But it was off a layoff, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know, so I wouldn't. I think he's going to run okay today. But I don't disagree. He's a little tough to take off of that. We'll see what happens. It was a pleasure, Anthony. I really enjoyed myself.
Want to do it again tomorrow?
We'll do it. It's amazing how great it is to be here when the weather starts getting nicer.
No better no. For me, there's no better place when the weather is nice than a day here.
And also, you're so close to Creedmoor.
Yes, it's a lot easier to come visit you.
You make a great point. Head over to Naira Bet. Speaking of great points, use promo code MATCH200. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit.
After talking Derby to Andy, now you can get your precon.
Get your precon. I got Kegasis here to my left. What do you think Kegasis is doing now, by the way? Unemployed. That could be a story, you know. Where are they now? Like in ESPN 33.
Stuffing rental. He's stuffing
what
rentals.
What happened to Kegasis? Okay. What else we got, Francisco? Oh, America's Day at the Races, starting in just a few minutes, actually. About 15 minutes. FS1, 12:30 to 3 with Greg and I, and then we'll close out the card from 5 to 3:30 on FS2.
Get over to the other set.
You think I can get there?
We have, just so everybody knows, I know originally it was supposed to be 1 o'clock post tomorrow, so we will be here at 11:30.
Yes.
It was advertised as 1 o'clock, at 12 o'clock post originally.
Really?
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah. It was on the calendar.
We love that. What, did we spin the wheel and it came to 1
no,
this time?
I mean, it's Preakness Day, and ordinarily we start a little early, but it will be a traditional 1 o'clock post here tomorrow, and we'll be here at 11:30 for the Preakness edition of Talking Horses. Like anybody in the Black Eyed Susan today? We have a quick minute.
Actually, I like 2 horses in there. I don't like. I keep saying it, and it's nothing to do with the nonsense.
No, right.
I think the Baffert horse is very vulnerable. I think there's pace in there. So I think the grass is greener, and also the Army Wife on the grass is blue, whatever. And the Army Wife, or both horses, could benefit from getting a little pace in there. So I was going to use the 2 of them.
I'm making a pick 5. We're covering all the races on radio today, so I'm making a pick 5 there. I'm using those 2 fillies. I'm using Adventuring, and I'm using.
Not that the favorite can't win.
I'm going to try and beat on. I'm using.
Does Louis know that you're using his ex-horse?
Yes, Steve Asmussen's filly.
Have you cleared it with him?
The number 2, Steve Asmussen's filly. I forgot her name. Whoa, I don't remember. I like 9-2.
Anthony likes
8-1.
He likes 9-2. I went 1 inside mine. I subtracted 1 from each of his horses.
Exactly. He's smaller.
I am definitely smaller. That is for sure. But I'm growing. Anyhow, have a great day. And Johnny I will be up shortly with a reprise of Scratches and Changes.